Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Spec-5 World Tour. It is the last race of the season, and that means we've got a championship to decide. Whilst the Open class is nice and decided and all wrapped up already, the Pro class is where it is all to play for. Ronnie Coates looking to claim the crown with a current 2-point advantage over Rue Coimbra, and well, it's going to be a 45-minute race, which means there is plenty of time for drama to occur and those points to be thrown up into the air. And Road America is such an apt setting for such an occasion. I am Tom Dillon. Alongside me this evening is Randall McGrew with Tim Cox on on production even. And well, I'm just going to throw the question out immediately, Randall. Who do you think is going to take home the championship after this evening?
Ronnie Coates has looked strong ever since I've joined the commentary team. I think he's probably a shoe-in for tonight.
And, well, at the moment, he's not going about it too nicely in the practice session, down in 6th position. So if that pace is anything to go by, then maybe there's a little bit of a concern. That being said, he is well clear in pace at the moment on his championship rival at the moment of Rue Coimbra. And actually, we have got the championship standings for you, as well, we have been talking about them, so we might as well show you them as well. Ronnie Coates is leading the way, as I said, 439 points for him. 2 points behind is Rue Coimbra, with Geordie Fike in the fringe positions, really, down in third position, with Adam McLeod in 4th position. Tom Rath is in 5th, with Odis Adams Jr. in 6th in the championship standings. Mitchell Peake is in 7th, with Brian Sableski in 8th. Eugenio Polici is in 9th, and then Jebediah Babinek. Greg Mack and David Stab are 10th through 12th. Curtis M. Jones is in 13th, with Simon Fairweather in 14th. Kenneth Stab is in 15th, with Zach Burke in 16th. James Hansen is in 17th, with Nicky Barovic in 18th. And well, there's quite a lot of drivers here, and it's a little bit difficult to read, as I had a crossover on my screen for a moment. But the open standings are wrapped up at the moment. A 23-point lead for Lee Martin is going to be insurmountable, with Jose Gonzalez in 2nd position, then Tom Athan in 3rd, and then it's Brockway in 4th, Kosic in 5th, Coimbra in 6th, Olsen 7th, Vaccaro 8th, Stephen Helliwell in 9th, Hayes 10th, Sancinelli in 11th, with Casey in 12th. Lombardi is in 13th, with Piero in 14th, and last in the standings heading into this last round is Bob Helly. And well, as we go to the track, it is of course qualifying time now. And what are you minutes in? We have a look at the number 149 car. Heading around the circuit on what I can only assume at this stage is an outlap. Well, go ahead.
I wouldn't put too much stock in those practices. We'll see how it really shakes out here in qualifying. It's hard to tell sometimes in practice at a track like Road America who's running quality trim, who's running race fuel, who had a draft, who didn't. There's a lot of factors here that really go into play. So qualifying will really shake out the standings like probably in the race.
Absolutely. We do always say as well when we're doing these streams in the MX5 that it's such a closely contested category that really it is only drawing the qualifying and the race that you can really show pace, and perhaps is more of a slight gauge on who's going to be faster. And Fred 32V said in YouTube chat, looking forward to another fun race. Watch the number 50, and we'll definitely be keeping an eye on him. The number 149 is going to cross the line to start his first lap of the evening. It is the champion in open class, Lee Martin. And, well, nice and easy night ahead of him. Everything is wrapped up, I understand it. Roaring down into turn 1 to all the same. Actually taking to the grass, and oh dear Lee, I'm not too sure if that's the greatest line straight, but he's going to recollect the car and keep it relatively clean throughout the rest. And I actually think here Lee is coming to a halt with the number 2, actually, the next car on our radar on a lap. So this is Greg Mack. He'll be looking to thrust himself to the top of the standings early on in this session. They only get, I think it's 4 laps to have a go at the timing tower, and 4 laps isn't a great deal at all to get it right. It should be enough for a 15-minute qualifying session. That being said, rather wide actually for the number 2.
15 minutes is a long time to get 4 laps in. However, if you are doing any kind of strategy where you are stopping and resetting to get fresh rubber, having that extra outlap, 15 minutes might not be as long as it normally seems at a track like Road America.
A 2-minute lap here at Road America, quite easily in the MX-5 cars. And it's actually a little bit longer than that, than 2 minutes. The lap time should be, off the top of my head, something closer to a 2:18 kind of region. That might be total rubbish, actually. I think it might be much more. I might be thinking Tour cars. But regardless, I think the point in case is a very, very long lap. And we're currently seeing the number 2 heading on the criminal. He's been out there for quite a while and using up all of that time. Greg Mack on a decent lap, though, it seems. He's been looking very clean so far, and I don't think there could be too many complaints at the moment, particularly for a banker lap. You don't want to be putting absolutely everything onto the line. You just want to get a lap time in the first 5 minutes of this session. Actually 2:34, so 18 is absolutely up, as Tom Rath does set the fastest lap time of the session, also the first lap time of the session in the Pro Class. Mitchell Peak goes to the top himself. Is Mack going to be able to put his hat into the race? Looks like he is not, by the look of that. I'm assuming he must have invalidated somewhere, but it's not going to be a time on the tower for Greg Mack even. And the important news there is that championship leader and championship hopeful Brady Coates is in first position, with Rory Coimbra only doing as well as 5th.
So if you do sacrifice one of your laps to get fresh tires here, you should have plenty of time as long as you don't have any big mistakes. 4 laps here is just over another 2.5 minutes for out lap time. You should have just enough time to maybe grab a drink of water before the grid starts.
And as well, you can cross the line, with 2 seconds to go and do your lap. So there's not a great concern. It's more like 15 minutes to cross that line, starting a final lap. We're currently looking at the number 94 car of Sean Hayes. And a quick switch, actually, to the number 21. Setting the lap time yet that I can see the number 21 as Bleachy goes into 5th position overall. Number 21, that is Josh Olsen of the Open Class. And at the moment, again, a very clean looking lap from what I can see. Heading down into the back end of this circuit is very much, I'd say, the spa of the US, and oh dear, onto the gravel, and that's not particularly ideal. You'll soldier on, and it might be too great because, again, the car absolutely on the knife edge, heading through the final sequence of corners. Final corner now, keep the car nice and stable, dip it in, and then make sure not to go wide on the exit here. It's a very tight corner, is that one. It's a lot more tighter than you think. It's very deceptive in that way. Coming to the line now, the number 21. Is it going to be a lap time that is competitive in the Open Class? It does come to the line.
I don't think his lap was allowed after that little off at Canada corner.
Yes, and that seems to be the case as well. I think an invalidation there. I didn't see it pop up on the timing tower. Anyway, here is the number 29, Patrick Preveners. And he is running up to the line, 104 mile an hour in the end. As I said, not the fastest cars, the MX-5, so it's going to be 239 on the outlap. And in fact, it's not even an outlap, it was just a mistake on his lap, the 239. Well, I would assume that's a mistake and not raw pace, to be 4 seconds off the pace, but it is 21st position for Preveners. And he'll definitely be wanting to utilise the rest of his laps, as we see Sean Hayes improving on his lap time. And the question is, can he go even faster? 2:34.9 in his current time, and he's just come to the line. I don't believe... Oh, he did improve, actually, quite dramatically. It's a 2:34.2 for Sean Hayes, and he goes onto the front row of the grid as an open class driver. Now that is pretty incredible, given the nature of that open class. Other news, Coates has been knocked off of pole position, as it's Soto, Joshua Soto, in the number 135, who currently leads the way in this qualifying session. That being said, as I understand it, Ronnie Coates, if the race were to finish as the qualifying standings currently run, he would be winning this championship.
That's right. Sean Hayes up in second is really impressive. It looks like he got a really good run out of the final corner, which is not only important for your lap time, it also sets up the next lap. That front straightaway is incredibly long, and with the uphill climb, getting a good run out of the final corner is essential in these cars.
Absolutely, the exit is no mean feat in these cars, particularly as you can find yourself sliding quite dramatically on entry if you use a little bit too much of tyres friction, tyres grip I should say. You can quite easily find yourself finding or losing a great deal of time. Joshua Soto does not look to be improving on this particular lap, and it's not going to be an improvement. He's 5.2, so he may see that as a waste of a lap. However, he still has pole position by 3/10 of a second. That being said, Mitchell Peake goes and overtakes Sean Hayes, and it's still going to be a 3/10 of a second lead. In fact, it was only by slender margins that Mitchell Peake did take that second position. Ronnie Coates with a 2:35.3 wasn't able to overtake and get himself onto the front row at this stage. Lee Martin is going to try and get himself up the order a little. He's going to go 10th, which is second in the open class. And, well, that's quite impressive from Lee Martin's perspective.
Josh Soto setting the only time under 2 minutes and 34 seconds, really making a statement in qualifying.
Now you can see the two fastest laps in both of the classes. 2:34.2 is the fastest lap time from the open. The pro class is 2:33.8, so very, very close, the two classes. Of course, Sean Hayes, being the open class, pole sitter at the moment, only about 3.2 tenths off of Joshua Soto in the top of the pile overall. We're currently looking at Lee Martin, who is having a little bit of difficulty heading through that particular corner there. That might be just enough to invalidate his lap. We'll have to wait and see. And, well, as you see, the temperatures and things on your screen. It's a light wind, 7 miles per hour, which, to be fair, the drivers probably won't be feeling a great deal, but it's a mightily hot track temperature.
So that high track temperature will be good for getting the tires up to temperature quickly, but once you start to overheat the tires, it'll be really hard to bring the temperature on them back down to range. You'll be a little bit more hesitant to get on the throttle, you'll feel a little less grip at apex, and it'll result in overall slightly slower lap times.
Sure, it's often Le Mans and things that we see that the fastest lap times are actually set later on in the evening, about that 9 o'clock time. 4 in the morning as well tends to be a pretty fast period. The number 31 of Ronnie Coates, championship leader, into the pits. Stab is going to have another stab at the goose. Not going to be particularly fruitful for him as he stays in 5th position, and I imagine that's his qualifying over. If I had to take a guess, here is Fike in 15th position at the moment, and is going to stay in 15th position.
Some of these drivers are really blurring the line between pro and open class. It's impressive to see some of these blue numbers as far up the grid as they are now.
And we did see a couple of rounds ago actually that Sean Hayes was right up in the pro class, right amongst it, and that was when he unfortunately threw that race win away. I can't quite remember where it was now, but it was unfortunate from his perspective. But he was running very, very well up to that point, and he definitely showed us that he had the pace. Here is the number 164, is Charles Vaccaro, looking to go better than 20th position. It's not going to happen for him. And in fact, he's only 0.008 of a second off of 19th position, but still quite far down the order. And oh, that's the number 7 car, that's Eugenio Pellicci. And well, I think just about right that he comes into the pit. That was a rather scary moment, and certainly not one that's going to yield a great deal of lap time. Here is Lay Lombardi. He's currently yellow in all of the sectors. I don't think he's quite got the car in the right mode, and he is going to come and back out of the lap. Number 50 is, well, I mean, with a 6-minute lap time, he definitely won't be lighting any fireworks. And well, that is the checkered flag as well. Here are your results then for qualifying here for the season finale in Road America. Joshua Soto starts on pole position with Mitchell Peak in 2nd position. Sean Hayes starts 1st and pole in the open class. Ronnie Coates is in 4th. David Stab in 5th. Tom Rath is in 6th with Eugenio Pellicci in 7th position. Adam McLeod is in 8th with Simon Foweather in 9th. Lee Martin starts 10th from Lay Lombardi. Rue Coimbra in 2nd in the championship is only able to start 12th. Kenneth Stab is in 13th with Jose Gonzalez in 14th. Jordy Fike starts 15th with Paolo Coimbra in 16th. Tom Afton is in 17th with Greg Mack starting 18th. Josh Olsen 19th. Charles Vaccaro in 20th. Andrew Kosic in 21st with Greg Bockwright in 22nd. Stephen Helliwell in 23rd with Patrick Preveners in 24th, and unfortunately last. Just about to get the formation lap underway, and I've asked you at the start of the stream, and I'll ask you again now that we're getting this start underway, who do you think is going to win at the championship?
Well, I think Josh Soto, with that really impressive qualifying time, is in a really good position to win this race, but I still favor Ronnie Coates for the championship. Though with the draft here, it's really anybody's game.
And without using such an egregious phrase, it really is a marathon, not a sprint in this one. And 45 minutes in an MX-5 car is no mean feat whatsoever. The iRacing Porsche safety car is going to get us underway here for the formation lap, and it's going to be one of the longer formation laps on the calendar. As I said, Road America very much a spa in the American route and series.
It's a very good comparison. Lots of different corners and tights, lots of elevation changes, plenty of challenges, and a pretty wide track, make for a pretty good race.
Absolutely, and we're going to see that here as well. Last time I commentated on an MX-5 race in Road America. There's an absolutely huge crash at that tyre barrier just down there, and it was quite spectacular to watch. I think about 8 cars are involved in that, and I hope we don't see that on this particular occasion. Of course, it's obviously another league, but well, hopefully everyone gets underway nice and clean with 45 minutes. Well, they really need to be quite sensible with it as well. Joshua Soto is, I imagine, just going to be warming up his tyres, making sure everything is in order ahead of a race start. Now, I wonder how Ronnie Coates is going to approach this one. Whether he's just going to keep under control, keep an eye over his shoulder for Coimbra, who starts 13th. So Coimbra really, the neutral would say, is not really in with a shot here, but anything happens up front and he could all of a sudden find himself really impressing and getting himself back into this championship. Of course, for those who don't know the point system, even though I'm just trying to get my head around it, is essentially it starts at 63 and then suddenly gets 62, 61, 16, it goes down in ones just like that. So essentially you're going to see Coimbra trying to get 2 positions ahead on Ronnie Coates. There are also bonus points at the point from position of Coimbra you lead a lap, and then if you get no incident points, it's 3 points. 1 to 2 incident points, you get 1 point. So it's very confusing. We'll try our best to keep you updated as we go. We can't really see the incident points on the stream. We can see them on the live time, I believe. So I'm not too sure about that one. Yes, we can. So we will label as off tracks. Anyway, heading through sector 2 here, and you really do get a bit of a sense of tension here. As in the next 45 minutes, we are going to crown a championship winner.
If I'm Ronnie Coates, I'm definitely focusing on keeping my nose clean, keeping out of any incidents. And even if Rui catches me, I might even let him go because he has to gain at least 3 points over me in order to beat me for the championship. So Ronnie Coates, if he finds himself passed by Rui Coimbra, may just sit right on his tail and follow him to the championship. Also, he may be looking to time his pit stop such that he can lead a lap and get him on his way in further secure that championship.
And if Rui Coimbra here actually is smart and Ronnie Coates DNFs from this race for whatever reason and doesn't take a point, then all he has to do is not have any incident points. He can trundle around for virtually the entire race and be the champion, essentially, even if he finishes last. So that's something to keep an eye on as we get ourselves ready here as they head up to, in fact that's just out of Canada corner, isn't it? And they're now heading down into the final sequence. Here we go then, as they do head up to the final corner here in Road America. It is the season finale, and it is probably also the most important race of the season. The safety car lights are out. He's going to pull into the pits any moment now, and it's going to be Joshua Soto leading the way for the start of this race, the final round in the Spec-5 Championship here on a wonderful Friday morning for me. And it is going to be, in a moment, the green flag flying here for this race, and Joshua Soto does get us underway as they fly the green flag down into turn 1. Mitchell Peake is going to try and do a challenge around the outside. How fruitful it will be is something that only time will tell. Down into turn 1, it's going to be a matter of who can break later. There's jostling at the back, and it's going to be difficult. Mitchell Peake not quite able to find any moves around the outside. Everyone's a little bit tentative of the start. The number 73 is into a little bit of trouble. Everyone else is through nice and cleanly despite a little bit of contact coming to the line. And now, all of a sudden, it's starting to look a little bit line of stern. That being said, Mitchell Peake is going to go for the lead immediately in this race. It's going to be around the outside, down into the hairpin. And I think Joshua Soto is just going to have to concede this position at the moment. Down into one of the first hairpins on this track. And it is going to be Mitchell Peake who leads the way with a minute gone already in the race.
I think in the front of the pack, we're going to see a lot of leapfrogging and possibly a little bump drafting. So I think that might be what's going on between Mitchell Peake and Josh Soto.
And there is going to be one pit stop in this race. We expect an 18-lap race, and the pit window should be around lap 6 to lap 12. So how crucial is that going to be in the complexion of this race? Joshua Soto still on the back of Mitchell Peake. He's not really going to be trying to find a way through at this stage. You would think the number 94 is into a little bit of trouble. That is Sean Hayes trying not to collect the championship leader. Ronnie Coates at the moment, championship elect, although only 2 minutes gone. We'll have to wait and see whether that is going to stay that way. Sean Hayes, really open class. He's a big fish, or a little fish I should say, in a great massive ocean, if you want to look at the pro versus open dynamic. That being said, he has got all the pace to merit being there, and currently holding off the champion-elect quite nicely. The number 36 is challenging Coates as well. Here's McLeod, just trying to make a couple of moves. Now the number 9 down the inside. This is Fike, and he's going to try and make a move on Kenneth Stab, and he is going to get the move in the end as we switch back to Mitchell Peak as they round the final corner to finish the first lap of this race. Mitchell Peak does lead the way, and Joshua Soto is going to use all the slipstream he can down into turn 1. You can see in the back of your picture as well, Ronnie Coates is trying to use all the slipstream he can to make a move down into turn 1. Lots and lots of slipstream in these cars. They're not particularly fast, as we said, about 105 mile per hour for Mitchell Peak down the straight. He's going to crest, you imagine, just about 115. There's a little bit of bump drafting down into turn 1, and now it's going to be really interesting to see. Is Soto going to try and make a move down into turn 1? He's not. He's clearly just content with trying to build a gap to the guys behind.
Sean Hayes and Rodney Coates fighting it out. Right now, Mitchell Peak and Josh Soto have a chance to get a breakaway going here for the top 2 cars. So I suspect that Josh Soto will be pushing Mitchell Peak down the straightaway as much as he can.
I wouldn't really see Ronnie Coates caring in this position as long as he can get himself into 3rd position and stay there. Even if he doesn't, he's still the champion-elect by my mathematics. And at the moment, as he is going to try and make a move, and in fact, someone's going to follow him into the move. It's going to be Stab, and Ronnie Coates down the inside. Brave on the brakes. He's going to get through and just about muscle his way into that one, and he's through into 3rd position. Sean Hayes has to settle for 4th. He's still got the open class win on the cards, however, and I think that's very much on the cards with Lee Martin down in 10th position overall. That being said, he might be swallowed up by David Stab here as well. It's just going to be a question of how fast David Stab is.
Rodney Coates running a little wide here. I think he might be trying to push. He might think that 1st place is the safest place to be. So he might be trying to run down those leaders after all. It's still very early, so there's plenty of time to race and plenty of time to maybe close a gap with a little bit of pit strategy.
Well, he'll be encouraged that Roy Coimbra is well down the order in 12th position overall. I believe he has gained a position off of the start, but I don't think that's going to do a great deal to encourage him that much. As we see the leaders still refusing to battle it out with each other, and the second pack really being the ones that are a little bit feisty in the early stages of this race. 40 minutes to go, and there's a huge incident, and it's Lombardi involved. In fact, it looks like there's a few cars involved actually further down the order. As you see the timing tower go absolutely ballistic, and I did see a spinner there, and I'm not too sure what happened. I wonder if we can get a replay on that or something. I can tell you that Fike's involved, Coimbra's involved, not Rue Coimbra, but the other Coimbra, and then Lombardi now into the pits. I think he had to get tow service actually in the end, as we see another type of tow with Josh Soto trying to now still bump draft Mitchell Peak down the straight, and he doesn't want to go for the lead of the race at this stage. And he's going to stay. As we see now, Joshua Soto really just trying to build that gap to Ronnie Coates behind, but Ronnie Coates very fast, has got a heap of pace in the race at the moment, and it's only 0.5 of a second. It was a second a couple of laps ago, so actually Ronnie Coates is really trying to force the issue here, and you would imagine that he's actually a contender for the race win here. That being said, Sean Hayes is trying to spoil that plan a little bit, bump drafting him down into the hairpin, and you can see it's essentially 2 partners trying to work together with each other, 2 sets of partners trying to work together with each other. Ronnie Coates is all over the back of Joshua Soto now, and it is oh so close, and it's so fine margins as well. He doesn't want to go over aggressive and end up losing the championship win, but well, it's going to be really close. Here is the replay of what happened a couple of moments ago, and you can see, there was contact actually, and then a huge Constantino effect. A lot of cars involved, and that was, I counted, about 5-6 cars there maybe.
Looked like Paulo Coimbra maybe was the one that was a little ambitious going into the braking zone, carried a little too much speed in, and no, it was not Paulo Coimbra, sorry.
Either way, someone spinning and not having a great deal of fun in that scenario. That's for certain. Here's another angle of what happened. It's Andrew Kosic that we're riding on board with, and I wonder if he's got something to do. Oh no, this is a completely separate incident. Oh, he's just got it all wrong under the brakes. And well, we'd laugh, but I did that a couple of days ago in a touring car race I did here on R Factor 2. And it's very, very easy to do. We go back to live pictures and we see Joshua Soto now all of a sudden looking a little bit more racy on Mitchell Peak. I think he understands that the old bump draft strategy isn't working. Now here is someone who doesn't look to be having a particularly good day. It's the number 8 car with Gonzalez, and that bumper is hanging off, and the car's certainly difficult to drive in that situation. I imagine we're going to see in a moment how that happened, and here is some replay, I believe. I'm not too sure what we're looking at here. Oh, these are live pictures. I apologise. It said replay on my screen, but there we go. All confusing. But well, Mitchell Peak still leads the way, and it looks at the moment that Joshua Soto still, despite looking a little bit racier than he did earlier on, he's still just content with sitting behind the leader and while letting him do all of the pushing into clean air, I should say. There's the number 62 car, you can see, was having a bit of a battle with the number 29. Brockway gets through in the end, and you can see Joshua Soto, he's not punching the hole in the air, so he's consuming less fuel. As we head on to lap 4, the pit window not too far away from opening, and Joshua Soto really still just, I don't know what his plan is here, whether it is to just stay behind for the majority of this first stint and maybe go for an undercut.
It's possible. He could be saving a lot of fuel. Anybody not in the lead could save a lot of fuel here on this track. Last week, we saw Ronnie Coates pit pretty early. I think that strategy would be pretty detrimental at a track like this. If you find yourself out in clean air with nobody to slipstream from, you'll just be losing time. So I suspect most of these cars will come in around the same time.
And, well, it is a pretty wide pit window, 6 to 12, we were told. And I imagine that leaves a lot of room for undercuts, overcuts. And that being said, I say the undercut, but I imagine if you're trying to save fuel during the first stint, you're looking for an overcut. And that might be just what Joshua Soto is eyeing up here, assuming that Mitchell Peak is going to come out into dirty air. And look, he's really close, and he could be attacking, but he's not. And it's actually quite impressive that he's able to react enough not to outbrake himself and take the both of them out. It's quite impressive what he's doing here, Joshua Soto. And I imagine Mitchell Peak is struggling not to make a mistake here, because anyone would when you're under this much pressure. And I can tell you, it's not easy to have someone right on your bumper and you drive absolutely perfectly. And it's a testament as well to how consistent everyone is, having very similar braking zones and things like that. One of the coin is into the pitch. You can see a bump draft, and oh, he was a little bit squirrely for a second, Mitchell Peak, as he made connection with the bumper. And now look at the slipstream from this chopper camera. It's such a powerful mistress. Is a slipstream down into turn 1, and Ronnie Coates again is going to stay line of stern. In fact, the top 5 is all going to stay line of stern, and it really is a line here. They are so close to each other.
There's a lot of fuel being saved here. What that ultimately equates to is a shorter pit stop. You can take less fuel to get to the end.
And actually, it appears that this little pack, looking at the timing screen, isn't actually the fastest on the track, as McLeod has just set the fastest lap of the race. Though I wouldn't read too much into that, as really the fastest lap here, when you've got pack racing like this, is not the most important thing. It's more about, racing the pack, and sometimes the fastest lap can just happen to anyone on the field. But encouraging for McLeod anyway, that he's got that pace in the locker.
Normally when you see somebody set the fastest lap, it's happened because they've finally managed to make contact with the car ahead of them and get that slipstream and use that lap to really close the gap up. So we see Adam McLeod is now catching this lead pack, and it's getting larger. We're up to 8 cars, soon to be 9 cars in this lead pack.
And, well, a very shiny gear stick as well from the MX-5 there, and it sticks out like a sore thumb, I have to say, in the cockpit of that car. And well, a testament to modern video gaming graphics. But 8 cars now in this leading pack. One of them is an open class car. And, well, the interesting thing is that Ruud Coimbra is sitting down in 10th position. If he can get himself into this pack, which at the moment he's not really doing too greatly, 4 seconds behind Foweather. And even then, that's another 2 seconds. 6 seconds behind the pack of 8 cars. If he can get into that pack, then he's in with a chance of winning this race and perhaps nicking the championship at the final opportunity.
Sean Hay sitting in 4th place. I suspect this is the last race we'll see him with a blue number next to him, though his eyes are probably as large as saucers running with the big boys.
Yep, and I suspect when you've got this consistent base, is he going for a challenge down into turn 1. He's going for a mighty challenge down into turn 1, and he finally gets that position back from Ronnie Coates. And, well, I don't think Ronnie Coates really expected the line of sternness of this pack to really be broken there, and it was. And in fact, in the background, it's broken as well, with McLeod trying to make a move for 7th position. He's going to get it in the end as well, and Sean Hayes looks very, very racy here. For an open class car to be challenging for the overall race win is certainly very, very impressive, and I probably agree that no, we're not going to see him with a blue number plate for too much longer.
I don't think Ronnie Coates was very interested in fighting for that position and let him just have it once he saw the move happen, so he could fall back in the line and not fall victim to another overtake from a second car behind him.
And, yes, I would probably agree there. Again, race management is one of the huge, huge skills in an MX-5 race, and it's very much, I always liken it to karting. You have to be absolutely on point with your race management.
See, Ronnie Coates getting a little wiggly there under braking. It's really hard to judge your brake markers whenever you're sitting in a long line of cars. You tend to start to brake when one car ahead of you hits your mark, or possibly 2 cars ahead of you hits your normal mark. But sometimes, if you're really close to the car ahead, it can be difficult to see where that happens.
So we see a huge little gaggle here. This is Mack and a couple of open class cars. Actually, he's trying to overtake the 21 cars so that he can really get back into the pro class contention, and at the moment not really working for him a great deal. Lee Martin is in 3rd position in the open class, and he's trying to make a move for 2nd position. He did hold on to 2nd position actually for quite a while in this race, and Olsen has just managed to get a little bit of traffic in between the two, which is quite a well, it's quite a good strategy, we'll put it that way. But at the moment, Greg Mack is stuck between a rock and a hard place, really. He can't find a way through, and I imagine he'll be trying to do so as soon as possible. It's not going to be a case of sitting behind here with the ramifications it will have for the rest of the race. We'll keep an eye on that battle as we keep an eye on this as well, with Joshua Stoto still wanting to run behind Mitchell Peake as we are right into the pit window. No early takers by my reckoning just yet. And they all still are just trying to relax a little bit here and get the mileage done, maybe, with 30 minutes to go in the race. 29 minutes now as we switch back to the battle for 2nd place in open and 11th place overall, I should say. And at the moment, Greg Mack still stuck behind, not able to find a way through. He's going to challenge, and he's going to try and be very aggressive to the inside there. He sticks back into the slipstream, and, well, to the outside, I should say. As now he, I imagine, will go aggressive to the inside to try and get on through. That being said, Lee Martin, the champion of the open class, is trying to prove why he wants to be promoted to the pro class. With a move on one of the pro class drivers, he's going to pull to the inside to try it, and it doesn't look like Greg Mack is going to defend it a great deal, as you see a few takers for the pit stop at the bottom of your screen, and Lee Martin is through. Greg Mack has to settle for 13th position at the moment. I'm sure he's going to fight back, but really, at the moment, he's in 13th position, having to wait for the pit stop. So a few takers for the pits. It's going to be Gonzalez, Fike, and stab. And it would be, at this stage, a scheduled pit stop, I'm almost certain.
Josh Olson is the biggest mover of the race so far, up 8 positions to 11th.
No one in the lead pack yet to take the stab and go for a pit stop. And you can see everyone sliding through these corners, absolutely getting the cars onto a knife edge, as we see Mitchell Peak again holding off Soto. And I say holding off Soto, I think Soto is basically holding himself off, as he doesn't seem to be wanting to make a move at the moment. And I think it's quite smart as well. I would expect him to go longer than Mitchell Peak on this fuel stint, purely because of how he has been driving so far. It's a similar story, actually, with Ronnie Coates and Sean Hayes. As Sean Hayes went off track for a moment, I think. Ronnie Coates into the pits. So championship leader, and at the moment champion-elect into the pits.
Tom Rath followed him, so he'll have a dance partner when he comes out in the event that he's alone. You see strategies like this a lot in American oval racing on the super speedways, where you'll have 2 or 3 cars come at a time to pit and have a small slipstream group they can use to maintain pace while the pit cycle happens.
And it's really going to be a interesting battle here, as you do want to be able to work with someone and get through the order. It's going to make you both faster, as we're seeing with Mitchell Peak and Josh Soto. Whilst they would have liked to have had the cars behind them battling a little bit more so they could have that buffer, at the moment they are still content just, doing this, even if it isn't working perfectly for them. It's working enough, and they certainly aren't losing time battling. We'll put it that way. 19 minutes into the race, probably about halfway through in terms of laps. We're expecting 17, 18 laps when you factor in pit stops and things. And the question is, when are these guys going to choose to pit?
Some of these camera angles are providing a really good look at the slip angle that these faster guys are able to put on the car. And that's what really separates the faster drivers from the slower drivers, particularly in an MX-5, is how well you can work that slip angle.
And, I can tell you a little bit of lore for the series that I was reading, is that Roux Coimbra is the defending champion, currently in 7th position, with not actually in 7th position because pit stops and things. And Ronnie Coates is the rookie to the series. We see Ray Lombardi trying to get through on the number 8. He does get through. And he gets through nice and simply. As we see the number 41 of Tom Rath getting through on Ronnie Coates. And that could be quite significant for the series, as the 2 dance partners are currently doing a little bit of a switch around and perhaps a little bit of a battle. It depends how smart Ronnie Coates wants to play this here. And now the question is, do you go for position in the race, or do you keep one eye on your rival? Mitchell Peak, race leader, into the pits. The number 56 is going to try and, I suppose, use the undercut to get ahead. He is ahead, to stay ahead, I should say, and increase his advantage. Joshua Soto is going to stay out for the overcut, as we expected. And now David Stabb is going to gain a little bit of time by catching all the way up to the new race leader in the slipstream. The question is, what is going to happen as loads of people comes into the pits? Sean Hayes, McLeod, Foweather, Polici, Lee Martin and Vaccaro all into the pits. And you can see there the number 236 really up onto his jacks. And, I'm not too sure that's the greatest jack work I've seen in my life. But
most of these cars will be taking 2 tires, the left-hand side tires, during this pit stop. You have enough time to get 2 free tires during the fueling of the car.
And that's an interesting thing to note, as we see, actually, that is a big development, as the number 41 of, who was it that was fighting? It was Rath, wasn't it? Yeah. And Ronnie Coates, they've now caught right up to the race leader. So the overcut hasn't really worked him. works for him, I should say. My English not really doing me many favours here. But yes, they've really caught up to him quite a fair bit, and now with the slipstream, they're just going to be gaining even more time. It's all going to be about what Josh Soto can do up front, and whether he is going to be able to make the overcut work even more. But at the moment, Rath, it looks like, is going to inherit second position. It's going to be interesting, though. It's going to be very, very interesting. The one and only stop of the race. And, well, as we see the 73 and the 94 having a little bit of a battle. It's really only after the pit stops occur when you have a race in the MX-5s like this. It's only really after the pit stops that you can definitively say who's going to be where. Because, you know, with the slipstream and everything like that and all of the lap times being on such a knife edge, it's not like Formula 1 where you can say, well, he's actually in net position. This, you really just have to wait and see.
I think David Stabb's going to be the big winner of this pit cycle. He was to the tail end of that lead pack when pits started happening. And when the second group came in, he was able to gain a lot of track position by slipstreaming his way up to Josh Soto. And as we now see, Josh Soto and David Stabb are in the pits.
And this is going to be an influential pit stop, perhaps an influential pit stop when it comes to the championship as well, with Ronnie Coates looking to seal it. And I can tell you that Rue Coimbra goes on through. He owes us a pit stop, so he's not in the lead of the race. Technically speaking, he only leads on default, essentially.
Importantly, though, he'll get a bonus point for leading a lap.
That is an important point, actually. I didn't think of that, so good job, Randall. But here's the interesting question now. Is Mitchell Peak going to have enough to get through? Soto is still into the pits, and I'm not too sure if Soto is rolling yet. I don't have a track map to tell you. He's at the pit exit, and the question is Mitchell Peak going to be able to get on through? And this is going to be huge. It's going to be so close down into turn one, and I can tell you that Soto has absolutely pulled a blinder on the overcut. It's not going to be close at all. He is going to be in the lead of the race by multiple seconds at this juncture, and Soto has absolutely pulled a blinder on the strategy.
David Stabb was going to be effectively second place as well.
And he exactly will. So the undercut hasn't really worked, and the overcut has worked absolutely perfectly for Josh Soto. And now I imagine Mitchell Peak is just going to try and fly through here, as he does down into the hairpin. And I don't think David Stabb is going to give too much of a resistance on that occasion. So at the moment, it looks like Mitchell Peak is going to be the one that chases down the 3.4 seconds to Joshua Soto just ahead. Joshua Soto, by the way, is absolutely in the driving seat now, because 3.4 seconds is an absolutely insurmountable margin, it sometimes feels, in the MX-5 cars.
Yeah, without a mistake, it's going to be very, very hard to overcome a gap that big without a lot of help. Oh, we see this at 8 o'clock, Josh Soto.
And is Soto involved? Soto is involved. Soto is involved quite heavily. And the commentator Gers strikes, as it is going to be a very surmountable margin. And he almost collects the 236 as well. It's absolute heartbreak for Joshua Soto, who, after having the race win in his hands after the pit stops, something has happened with one of the people who hadn't pit yet, and they've just come together, and he's hit the wall and then gone straight back into Joshua Soto. And now Joshua Soto, you have to feel, has really lost an opportunity to go on and win this race. And Mitchell Peak, well, he'll be absolutely smiling at the sight of that. And you have to feel for Joshua Soto. That is so disappointing.
It's like Andrew Kosick had to check up coming out of the corner and lost a lot of speed, caught Josh Soto unaware, came on him really quickly, tried to dodge around him, and just clipped the tail end of his car, sent him into the wall. It's very unfortunate.
And now, suddenly, the race for the lead has got a little bit more exciting, as Rue Coimbra is into the pits, the defending champion, the two-time champion. And it looks like at the moment that his championship his reign is going to be over. And opinions in the YouTube chat from Gazzy Boy says Soto did it to himself. The blue flagger didn't move. I'm not too sure it was a blue flagger. I think it was one of the open class cars who was yet to pit. So there was no blue flags.
I think you're right. I think Andrew Kosick hadn't pit yet.
As we see now, David Stapp thinking about a move for the lead of the race. You can see he almost wants it. He's thinking about it. The question is he going to do it? No, he's not. And he's almost teasing us in the commentary box. David Stapp trying to go for the move there. As we have about 18 minutes left in the race, I believe. And I am hearing confirmation in my ear that actually, yeah, it was a blue flagger. It was not a blue flagger, sorry. And yes, they were on the same lap. And Kazimo says either way. Yes, no, I'd agree. He didn't have to try going that way. And maybe when you've just inherited the lead of the race, or are about to inherit the lead of the race, you should be a little bit more cautious. But hindsight is 2020. And, well, I'm sure Joshua Soto will be analysing that in his mind for weeks to come now, ahead of the next season. Here's a battle, and here's a very interesting battle, as we see Sean Hayes trying to go around the outside at one of the longest corners on the circuit, and now switch back to the outside for the kink. That would be very, very brave, and, well, naturally, it's not really going to happen for him. But certainly a brave place to make a move, and you really have to be on a knife edge through the kink in the MX-5 cars. You have to be on a knife edge through most of the corners in the MX-5 cars, but particularly that one, the fastest corner on the circuit, and around the outside is not going to come off for you. And Sean Hayes, I think, has learnt that, but he's just trying to get past Adam McLeod so he can chase down the top 4 pack.
These cars are so small that a corner like the kink would be almost impossible in a bigger car like a GT3 or an LMP car. With these small MX-5s, sometimes that real estate looks pretty inviting, and it just doesn't work out all the time.
We see further battles. In fact, a battle properly now for the race lead, as you see Ronnie Coates trying to claim his championship in style down the inside. He goes for the move on 2 cars into the lead of the race into turn 1, and Ronnie Coates in the number 31 car pulls off an absolutely exceptional move and almost is claiming that championship trophy in his rookie season and showing the world why he is at the top of the standings.
If nothing else, it's really important for Ronnie to get 1 lap led so that he can cancel out Rui Coimbra's bonus point for leading a lap. But two cars in 1 corner is an impressive feat, even at a place like Road America.
And in one of the corners that's got the shortest shortest braking zone. And now here is the move down into turn 1. And I don't think this is something that the 2 guys will be wanting to watch again, but Ronnie Coates down into turn 1. In fact, there's nothing that they could do there. That was just pure racing genius, awareness down into turn 1. And now Ronnie Coates leads the way, and I imagine is going to try and lead the way for quite a while here, particularly if you're trying to make a statement like that one.
And a statement it was. He was carrying more speed into the corner, and he was the last one to brake. Very impressive move.
And, well, if he does go on to win the championship, which at the moment it seems like surely he will be, then that is absolutely something we're going to have to look at and, well, think that perhaps is the moment that sealed it for him, even if it's more symbolically than anything else. Mitchell Peake is trying to get a bit of his own back down into Canada corner. He's going to certainly think about the move, but then I think he thinks better of it because he knows that kind of, I don't know how to describe it, that kind of, again, the word has moved out of my mouth, but no, I think he just knows that trying to make a move like that would end up costing you more than you gain.
It looked like he maybe was thinking about a bump draft, but you don't really want to bump draft whenever you're turning the car and they're fastly approaching a braking zone, so you need to back off pretty early. And making a late move there would, as you said, probably end up very unfortunate. Ronnie Coates is going to lead a lap and get the bonus point. Mitchell Peak pushing him down the front straightaway. Is he going to make a move into turn 1? He's showing his nose a little bit here. But I think he's going to stay in line.
And, well, Mitchell Peak will be thinking here, why would I go for the move at this stage? You know, let Ronnie lead the way for a little bit, and then in that last sort of 5 minutes, that's when you can sort of attack. The last lap here could get quite spicy. And, well, I wonder if Ronnie Coates is going to fight into that last lap, because I can tell you that if Ronnie Coates were to crash out in that final lap, then Roy Coomber would go on and win the championship. And that would be quite the way to bring up your third championship in a series. Season 9 of this championship, the Spec-5. And, well, I think Rue Coimbra would like to claim that third title in any way he can, and he wouldn't really care. But it would be quite spectacular. That being said, at the moment, it looks like Ronnie has got this one in the bag, dare I say it.
Another thing to consider, another wrinkle for your strategy thoughts here. Looking at the pace notes for the race, they were not very sure if they were going to have 17 or 18 laps. It was going to be very close to the margin to going to an extra lap. So some people may have taken a little less fuel thinking there's going to be less laps, and they may get that extra lap. Mitchell Peak led that entire first stint, so he may be trying to save a little fuel here before the last sprint to the finish.
So, I'm still just trying to double check the championship standings and everything like that to make sure that we have got this correct. But I believe that Ronnie Coates will go on to win the championship at the moment, even with drop weeks and things like that. And in fact, Randall, I might send you on a little bit of a mission as we continue to watch this, just to double check that all that information is correct, so that we make sure we don't wrongfully declare someone as the champion. But I'm almost certain that Ronnie Coates would go on and win this. As we see now, Mitchell Peak a little bit further back on this occasion than he was on the previous lap. That being said, the slipstream is still going to do a great deal to catch him all the way up back to Ronnie Coates. And now bump drafting him down the straight. Is he going to show his nose on this occasion? You would suggest that perhaps not. Down into turn 1, he definitely shows his nose, but I don't think he's going to go for the move, and Ronnie Coates holds on to the race lead for a moment. But he must feel a little bit angsty up there, because he's essentially prey here, and the predator Mitchell Peak is just playing with his food, able to make the move whenever he wants. Here's the number 7 trying to make a move. It's Soto, and he's being overtaken by Polici, and that must hurt, going down into 10th position after you felt like you could go on and win the race, and you almost felt like you had it in the bag, really, after the pit stops. But I suppose he won't want to dwell on it and just make the most of what he can. As, wow, that's a very close camera angle down into the hairpin. And Mitchell Peak, again, not doing anything too aggressive. He is going to go a little bit wide, though, and get lucky not to lose the car and not to lose a position as well. McLeod is through on Sean Hayes. You saw that just in the very top of your picture. Sean Hayes went a little bit wide there. And, well, they're having a battle with Rue Coimbra as well.
So, Tom, I took your hint and did a little research real quick, and to me it looks like they'll both be dropping a 56-point finish if they both finish 8th or higher. So this really is a drag race here at the end. Whoever finishes ahead is likely to win. As long as Rui Coimbra can score at least 3 more points than Ronnie Coates, he will win the championship. Otherwise, Ronnie Coates will be your champion.
So, as it stands, that isn't going to happen, is it? Because Ronnie Coates is winning the race. And on the incident count as well, I can tell you that Ronnie Coates has got 0 and Rue Coimbra has got 3. So he won't be picking up any bonus points on that front, whereas Ronnie Coates will. So at the moment, if I'm correct in saying, he is going to win the championship.
Yeah, Rui Coimbra would need to win by 6 positions, or would need Ronnie Coates to pick up some off tracks, which I'm sure he's really hoping for. Rui Coimbra will take anything now. He doesn't care how he wins it, as long as he has a chance to win it.
Yeah, so again, we believe Ronnie Coates is going to win the championship here, and we'll just run with that and wait for the not the statisticians or whatever they're called, to go and put the results into the spreadsheet and figure it all out. But we'll, as we see, actually, the number 97 is number 94 is trying to make a move as Mitchell Peake again thinks about it. The number 41 is through on David Stab. That's Rath. And now Sean Hayes really trying to make a move up into 5th position. He's going to go down the inside, try and make the move, push the 73 all the way to the outside. And surely Sean Hayes has got this move done and dusted. He'll have to feel it's almost 3 wide down into turn 3. And he's got the move almost done, has he? No, you can never say a move's done in these MX-5 cars, as all of a sudden the 73 now is still alongside, trying to go down the inside into the hairpin. The 236 tries to get the slipstream off of him down into the hairpin, and he's going to try and push his way through onto the grass, and that's a really, really aggressive move, and it ends exactly as you'd expect in a huge, huge crash.
And that's Roy Coimbra getting collected.
And it is Rue Coimbra getting collected. And that is one of the championship rivals, Fauxweathers, into the wall as well. And you could almost see that coming. That was such an aggressive move. And oh dear, is that Rue Coimbra? It was it Rue Coimbra? It had the bumper hanging off, I thought I saw there. As if we could get another camera shot of Rue Coimbra, I'll be able to tell you it is as well. And that could be the championship absolutely over. And it could be Ronnie Coates already having won it, not even 6 minutes away. As surely he's going to have to pit there, Rue Coimbra. Surely it will be black and orange flag come into the pits. And that is bitter, bitter disappointment for the defending champion, the 2-time champion. And at the moment, it's going to need absolutely more than a miracle for him to win this championship. Here is the incident again. It was onto the grass, and you could almost see it happening. It was such, and I don't mean to be harsh on drivers, but it was a silly, silly move. And he was a misjudgment, we'll say that much.
When the stewards look at that after the race, I don't think they're going to smile too fondly down on Simon Fauxweather. That was a very aggressive move. It ended up taking out one of the championship contenders. So, ambitious to say the least.
Yes, and I think ambitious would be kind. And, well, there you can see the results again. And Sean Hayes as well. We didn't even mention that. That's the open class win away from Sean Hayes as well. And we got all caught up in the championship. We see Mitchell Peake now trying to almost go for a move for the race lead. He's going to try it down the inside, maybe. No, again, just content with the bump draft. But, yes, we completely got unsighted with Coimbra in the championship scenarios. And, in fact, we completely forgot that now Sean Hayes has unfortunately lost the race win in open class, and Lee Martin is going to take that one.
And as is often the case in motorsports, the 2 innocent bystanders are the ones that are damaged the most in an incident like that.
And you do have to feel for them. There's absolutely nothing they could do there, as I don't think the Flash could have reaction time fast enough to avoid that incident if he were in Rue Coimbra's situation, or indeed Sean Hayes' situation. That was just absolutely sod's law almost.
That's 2 times now that Sean Hayes has had bad luck in the back half of this season. Here tonight, and then again he had the issue at Mosport, where he was well on his way to an open class win there as well.
And you really, really have to feel for him. As what are we looking at now? Joshua Soto and Pellicci. And to be fair to Soto, after that spin, he has recovered well. He's recovered bravely, and he's now fighting for 6th position, which I would say is a fairly good result for Soto after that spin earlier on.
He really dodged the bullet by not picking up any suspension damage on that incident that he had with Kosek as we watched Coimbra come into the pits to take repairs, possibly even retire the car.
And he didn't retire the car, but he's in 15th and well out of contention for the championship now, unfortunately, unless it's going to be an 8-car pile-up, you would think, for Rue Coimbra to come and win this championship now. And the incident points as well are basically going to exempt him from any possible what's the word? Any possible bonus points. That's the one. 5 incident points according to my timing screen here. And, well, that is going to be bitter disappointment. That is not how you want your championship to end. That being said, we've got 2 laps to go by my reckoning here in the season for the Spec-5 Championship on iRacing at Road America. And it's going to be the number 36 trying to make the move for the podium. It's David Stab on Tom Rath down into turn 1. These 2 are definitely being aggressive, even if the 2 at the front are not. Mitchell Peak is still not going to make a move at this stage, but Stab is, and Stab is going to go down the inside, and there's going to be absolutely zero resistance from Tom Rath. I think he thinks about the bigger picture, and the race win is going to go down to the absolute wire, even if the championship is not. Randall.
That's right. Also, as you mentioned, 2 laps ago, it looks like they did get the 18th lap for this race. So we'll be needing to keep an eye on that timing board to see if anybody starts to plummet their way down as they have fuel issues towards the end of the race.
As you would hope they give themselves the buffer, as you're always encouraged to in timed races. But some people sometimes don't. And I wonder if that will bite anyone. And in the YouTube chat, the slow motion broadcasting account has said, are we thinking a sprint to the line and a photo finish? I think we can wish, but I don't think Ronnie Coates is going to care at this point, as he's going to win the championship either way, as Ruud Koimer is back into the pit lane and surely retiring now, I think, as I don't think you'd be in the pit lane twice in 2 laps. Oh, the damage hasn't quite repaired itself, has it?
Not completely. That front end is going to feel like a sail with all that damage.
And that might actually be his day over a little bit prematurely, unfortunately, for Ruud Koimbron. I wouldn't be surprised to see him, unless he's just going to finish out the season in a noble way and take the flag, which you'd give respect to him for that. And he did everything right, Ruud Koimbron. He went to try and just finish in a position that would mean that if anything happened to Ronnie Coates, he'd win the championship. And unfortunately, it just did not work for him with that incident. And really, not his fault at all. A complete innocent bystander. But unfortunately, hey, racing isn't fair sometimes. And, well, sometimes the luck does swing your way. And to win 2 championships, the luck must have swung your way at some point. That being said, we've got 30 seconds to go now. And a single lap left. The white flag is going to fly on this occasion, and Mitchell Peak is going to go for the race win. He led the race for a lot of the first stint, if not the majority of the first stint, from virtually turn 3. And now, as the white flag flies, it's absolutely going to be make or break for Mitchell Peak to go for the race win down into turn 1. He's still bump drafting, and it's going to be Stab who thinks about to move on the 2 of them. He definitely is going to try and get the 1 of them, and he's not going to get the 1 of them. He's going to have to stay in 3rd position. That's kind of scuppered Mitchell Peak's opportunity to go for the race win at turn 1, and now it's going to be down into the hairpin. That's his next realistic opportunity, then perhaps into Canada corner a little bit later on. Mitchell Peak in the slipstream of Ronnie Coates, going to try and make the move surely down into the hairpin. He's got the slipstream, but the question is, has he got the overspeed and the braking performance down into that hairpin? He's going to pull to the inside, and Ronnie Coates isn't really going to put up much of a defence down into the hairpin. Mitchell Peak goes for the race lead, and on the final lap he has got it. Now the question is, can he hold on to it? There's still multiple overtaking opportunities left for Ronnie Coates to try and get that race win back and steal it at the last moment to put a cherry onto the cake being the championship that he is about to win. And now, as they head down into Sector 2, Ronnie Coates thinks about the move. He's going to think against it, though, as I think it would have been a very optimistic place to go for a race win. And it's going to be Canada corner, surely, that is the make or break point here. It's going to be all about the exit out of this particular corner here. So long and winding, so frustrating when you're trying to go for the race win. And has Ronnie Coates got the exit that's going to allow him to accelerate down into Canada corner? They go through the kink first, and Ronnie Coates is absolutely almost neck and neck. It's a 1/10 of a second between him and Mitchell Peake. And is there going to be a dive here from Ronnie Coates, who is now well and truly the championship elect? It looks like there might be a move from David Stabb. It's going to be almost 3 wide down into Canada corner. Ronnie Coates goes for the move around the outside. He's really trying all he can to win this race here. Mitchell Peake holds on to it at the moment, but by 700ths of a second. Now Ronnie Coates with the inside lines going to go and try and just nick this race win at the final opportunity, but Mitchell Peake's going to get the racing line. Once again, it might be the photo finish we asked for. Around the outside goes Ronnie Coates. He's not quite able to make the move, but he has got the slipstream as they come to the line now. Is he going to have enough of the toe, enough overspeed to make the race win? I don't think he is. It's just going to be Mitchell Peake at the line. Maybe they're so close. It's 2,000 of a second. It is a photo finish. It's 100ths of a second across the line. Mitchell Peake wins the race by the barest of margins, but importantly, Ronnie Coates is the champion.
You really got to hand it to Ronnie Coates. He could have just backed off at that at any time and rested on his laurels and taken home the championship, but it wasn't good enough for him. He really wanted that race win too. We're watching Vaccaro here and Greg Mack as they race to the line. I don't think Vaccaro's going to have enough for Greg Mack here at the line, but it's still a close finish after all.
Not quite as close as 100th of a second. And I apologise there for screaming 1,000th of a second. I got a little bit carried away. It was 100th in the end. And, well, as we see Greg Botwright in 13th position, he's going to come home, maybe have a little bit of a challenge. And all this would be quite a mighty photo finish. And in fact, he might do it here. Greg Botwright and Kenneth Stabb. And I have to feel maybe Stabb has run out of fuel. I think he has, you know. He's very slow.
Yeah, you could hear him sitting and sputtering. He definitely gambled and did not take that extra lap of fuel, and it bit him at the end of the race.
But only a position in the end. And, someone else has, run out of fuel.
And that's Jose Gonzalez, and it looks like he's going to give up a position to the 94. Sean Hayes rallies back to 16th.
And, the winner in the Open class is Lee Martin in the end. We should mention that as we carried away with the championship, and bitter disappointment as well for Roux Coimbra, who didn't finish the race in the end. He was never able to take the flag. Here's the last of the drivers across the line. Well, Lombardi is going to have to cross the line as well, but I think it'll be Olsen. That's the last one. A minute 40. Actually, I'm not too sure what that graphic means. I think it's a minute 40 down on the next car. But as Lombardi crosses the line, it is going to be Olsen to be the last finisher of the season. And, 45 minutes is a rather interesting amount of time to finish a race. And, he's managed to do it. And with flying colours as well, quite literally, the vibrant flames on the side of that car. And, last across the line in the season. And that is the end of the season. Ronnie Coates is the champion, and we'll be getting your provisional race results now, I believe. Oh, I'm hearing in my ear. We've got to wait for it to transition across. And the wonders of broadcasting online games, you can't get them immediately, but we'll have them in a moment, I am sure. And, Randall, you were correct. Ronnie Coates is the champion.
It's amazing to think that a 45-minute race in cars like this at a track this size comes down to just over 1/100th of a second. You can't ask for better competition than that.
Yeah, and it was such a competition. Here are the race results. For the final time this season, I've only had the pleasure of commentating on 3 of the rounds, but it was a pleasure indeed, and this one probably more so than any, as Mitchell Peake does take a race win, and it was hardly fought. And, hard fought. It certainly wasn't hardly fought. It was very hard fought. Ronnie Coates is in second position, only by 100th of a second. 0.013 in the end. David Stabb finishes in third position, with Tom Rath in fourth position. Adam McLeod in fifth, with Joshua Soto in sixth. Lee Martin finishes in seventh and takes the Open class win home with him. Perhaps a little bit lucky, the champion, with Sean Hayes being involved in an incident. Greg Mack finishes 8th, with Charles Vaccaro in 9th, Tom Afton in 10th, Eugenio Pellicci in 11th, Greg Bockway in 12th, Kenneth Stabb in 13th, Andrew Kosic in 14th, Jody Fike in 15th, Sean Hayes caught is an innocent bystander in that huge crash in 16th, with Jose Gonzalez in 17th. Ray Lombardi finishes 18th. And as we head into the second page of results, there's only a couple more left. And it is going to be Patrick Preveners from Joss Olsen. And then the failing to finish, Ruru Coimbra, bitterly disappointing for him, the two-time and defending champion. He's unfortunately out of the race and the championship. Stephen Helliwell finishes in 22nd, with Simon Foweather in 23rd and Paolo Coimbra in 24th. So for the last time this season, that was the race results, and it is going to be Ronnie Coates who is the champion. And here is a replay of, I believe, the move for the win of the race. It was down into the hairpin, it was down the inside, and it was absolutely executed beautifully by Mitchell Peake. And Ronnie Coates, as he fought, was not quite able to overcome that one. As actually, we're going to watch the rest of the lap to the line, and difficult to digest this, but well, it was so close, Randall, and you could see just how much he's pushing him, Ronnie Coates.
He's even using the side draft. You can get quite a bit of a side draft coming up the hill. You see as he closes in on the quarter panel, he's going to gain a little bit of extra speed off that.
And here was the exit that I was talking about that's so important. And it is really important, that exit. And you can see Ronnie Coates did it almost absolutely perfectly. Look at how much he's gaining down into the kink. And it was a slightly wider line from Mitchell Peake that perhaps gave him the edge down into Canada Corner. But that slipstream so important. And you can see the other, the number 36 trying to get into, and he actually backed out of it in the end. I think he saw the light, perhaps. And then Coates around the outside, just perhaps a little bit deep on the brakes, and then down the inside again. He thought about it. Well, he did more than think about it. He absolutely sent it. And then back to the outside. And this was such a huge moment in the race. And you have to feel perhaps, actually, if Ronnie Coates had stayed behind there, and of course hindsight is 2020, if he'd stayed behind there, he'd have got the better exit of the corner. But look at his Mitchell Peake weaving as much as he's allowed in the rules, and I don't think we mind that with so much on the line. And then Ronnie Coates just not having enough in the end, and look at those margins. Absolutely nothing. As now we have some interviews for you, and I think first we should go with the open class winner of Lee Martin. And Lee, perhaps a little bit lucky in the end, with Sean Hayes being involved in an incident that really wasn't his fault, but you are the champion for a reason, and you managed to finish off the season with a race win.
Thanks. Yeah, it was closer than I was hoping. A little bit of first lap shenanigans, and then I ran out of fuel at the end.
And well, you must be absolutely chuffed with the championship, and hoping for a pro class promotion next season, maybe.
I don't know if I have a chance against the pro guys, but it'll be fun to race with them. It was a heck of a challenge. I'm bummed that Jose got taken out early. I was looking forward to finishing the championship against him.
And so we're actually just watching a replay now of you crossing over the line. Surely that was a heart-stopping moment, realizing you'd accidentally underfueled the car.
I gambled on 17 laps, and that did not work out. So I was nursing it the entire way home and literally sputtered across the line. Fortunately, I had a 9-second lead on the next place car, so I milked that.
But yes, anyway, thank you very much for joining us. And you are the champion for good reason. And we hope to see you again next season in just as strong form.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the broadcast. Really well done.
Thank you very much. And well, we're going to drag in Mitchell Peake. And well, Mitchell, I really don't know what to say to that, but that was absolutely incredible.
That was quite the race. That finish, man, 13 thousandths of a second at the line. coming out of the final corner and, just getting the power down, trying to weave and break the toe as best I could. And, just got my nose there first. What a run tonight.
And you spent most of the first stint sort of being bump drafted, and you were in the lead of the race, but everyone thought, well, he's basically a sitting duck there if anyone wants to go for the move. And you must be thinking really that it's just an incredible turn of luck to get the race win in the end. Essentially, it must have been a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I did not want to be out in the front, so I made the move on Josh on the first lap, just so we could open up a little bit of space going into turn 5 on the first lap, and I was hoping that he'd pass me again before the pit stops because I didn't want to be out front, burning extra fuel and burning up my tires. But that wasn't the case, so decided to take my pit stop as soon as I saw Ronnie go in to cover that off, and I was thinking of taking 4 tires because I was running out front. And I'm sitting there in my pit box just waiting for the fuel, and I only took lefts, and I was like, I should have taken rights. This is going to come back and burn me. And, I was really happy when Ronnie went for the move after the pit stops to get out front. And I just did the same thing that Josh was doing to me, just bump him down the road, see if we can create a gap a little bit to the cars behind Tom and David. David went for the move into turn 1 on the last lap there, and I knew I had to defend that. My plan all along was to make the move into turn 5. I didn't think that Ronnie would have expected me to go for it there. I think, he was probably thinking I would do it into Canada corner and wait for the very end of the race. But I wanted to kind of gauge what it would be like into turn 5, and I was able to get the move done. Then we had a nice battle through Canada corner and then right up to the line. So great race tonight. Had a lot of fun. That's what it's all about, right?
Yep. And thank you very much for joining us, and enjoy the race win, Mitchell.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And we're only supposed to interview the top 2 in each class, the top 1 in each class, but I don't think anyone's going to mind if we drag in Ronnie Coates. As Ronnie, you are the champion, and even though the race was narrowly not yours, you must be pretty happy with the championship.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a great battle, and I knew it really came down to this very last race with Rui and I. We were absolutely tied. Drop races, everything. We were completely tied.
And with the championship, of course, beating out 2-time champion and defending champion Rui Coimbra, you must be thinking maybe you can go on and defend your crown. Get the 2-time championship as well heading into season 10.
Well, I guess I need to try. I got to come back and try to defend, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And any plans for the off season now?
No, but just big shout out to the Not a Team guys. Actually, Rui's a teammate of mine, and Jose and Tom, and all of a sudden I'm drawing a blank. Real nice, Paulo. And we do a lot of laps together and kind of try to help each other out. So it's been a fun season doing that with those guys.
And thank you very much. Championship win in your rookie season in the series. Thank you very much for joining us, Ronnie Coates, and very well done, even if the race was narrowly lost today.
Thank you.
And Randall, we do have to get off the air soon, but any final thoughts after what was a pretty riveting race?
I really got to hand it to David Stab for that podium finish. He really played the pit strategy well, was able to gain a lot of track position during the pit cycle, and managed to bring it home in 3rd. Pretty impressive.
And, I think we'll leave it there, as we're a little bit over our allotted time, unfortunately. And on production has been Tim Cox, and we'd like to thank you all very, very much for watching, and for another season of the Spec-5 Championship. We'd like to thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all later. Good night.